In the early hours of a spring morning on April 14, 2006, a team of marine biologists embarked on a deep-sea expedition off the coast of Japan. The sun had yet to rise and the sea was calm, casting an eerie stillness over the waters. The mission was to study the elusive giant squid, a creature rarely seen by humans and shrouded in mystery. The team consisted of Dr. Nathan Lee, a 45-year-old marine biologist with decades of experience, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a 38-year-old Japanese expert in deep-sea creatures, and Alex Kim, a 30-year-old technician responsible for operating the submersible. They were all aboard Ocean Explorer's research vessel, anchored near a deep trench known for its rich biodiversity. The giant squid, known for its massive size and powerful tentacles, was a subject of fascination and fear. These creatures could grow up to 43 feet in length and were known to inhabit the darkest depths of the ocean. The team was eager to gather data and samples that could shed light on the life and habits of these enigmatic giants. The day had begun with meticulous preparations. Dr. Lee and Dr. Tanaka reviewed the mission plan while Alex conducted final checks on the submersible deep diver. The submersible was equipped with advanced technology, including high-definition cameras, robotic arms, and a reinforced hull designed to withstand the immense pressure of the deep sea. At 8 a.m., the team descended into the depths, leaving behind the bright surface world. As they ventured more profoundly, the water grew darker and the temperature dropped. The submersible's lights cut through the blackness, revealing a world few had ever seen. Strange and beautiful creatures drifted past, their bioluminescent bodies glowing in the dark. Dr. Lee and Dr. Tanaka marveled at the sights, their excitement palpable. They communicated through headsets, sharing observations and coordinating their tasks. Alex skillfully maneuvered the submersible, ensuring they stayed on course and avoided obstacles. The descent was smooth and the team felt a sense of awe and anticipation. By mid-morning, they had reached their target depth of 3,000 feet. The ocean floor was barren, dotted with strange, alien-looking creatures. The team began working, collecting samples and recording data. They were focused and efficient, each member playing a crucial role in the mission's success. As they explored, Dr. Tanaka spotted something in the distance. Using the submersible's lights, they illuminated a large shape moving in the dark waters. It was a giant squid, its long tentacles trailing behind it as it swam gracefully through the depths. The sight was breathtaking, and the team felt a rush of excitement. They had found what they were looking for. Dr. Lee directed Alex to move closer, and they watched in awe as the giant squid came into full view. The creature was magnificent, its eyes reflecting the light from the submersible. It hovered in the water, seemingly unbothered by their presence. The team began to collect data, capturing footage and observing the squid's movements. Everything was going according to plan, and the mood inside the submersible was one of triumph. They had achieved their goal, and the data they were gathering would be invaluable. But the tranquility of the moment was short-lived. Without warning, the giant squid changed its demeanor, its tentacles spreading wide as it moved toward the submersible with alarming speed. The giant squid's sudden aggression caught the team off guard. Its tentacles, each lined with powerful suckers, wrapped around the submersible, shaking it violently. Dr. Lee, Dr. Tanaka, and Alex were thrown against their seats, their hearts pounding with fear. The submersible creaked under the immense pressure, and alarms blared as the tentacles tightened their grip. Alex struggled to maintain control of the submersible, his hands moving quickly over the controls. The squid's grip was relentless, and the submersible rocked back and forth, making it challenging to stay steady. Dr. Lee and Dr. Tanaka worked frantically to assess the situation, checking systems and looking for a way to escape the creature's grasp. The squid's tentacles pressed against the windows, its massive eyes peering inside. The team could see the sharp beak at the center of its tentacles, a reminder of their danger. They knew that if the squid managed to breach the hull, their chances of survival would be slim. Dr. Tanaka suggested using the submersible's robotic arms to fend off the squid. Alex activated the arms, maneuvering them to push against the tentacles. The squid responded with even greater force, tightening its grip. The submersible's structure groaned under the pressure, and the team felt a surge of panic. Dr. Lee, thinking quickly, directed Alex to activate the submersible's lights to their maximum brightness. The sudden burst of light startled the squid, causing it to loosen its grip momentarily. Seizing the opportunity, Alex engaged the thrusters, propelling the submersible upwards. The squid, momentarily disoriented, struggled to maintain its hold. As they ascended, the squid regained its grip, wrapping its tentacles around the submersible again. The team felt a crushing force, and the submersible's systems began to fail. Dr. Lee and Dr. Tanaka worked desperately to keep the submersible operational, while Alex focused on reaching the surface. The squid's tentacles pressed harder, and the submersible's hull began to crack. Water seeped in, and the team knew they were running out of time. Dr. Lee directed Alex to release the submersible's ballast, a last-ditch effort to break free. The sudden release caused the submersible to surge upwards, the rapid ascent dislodging the squid's tentacles. They shot towards the surface, the water pressure decreasing as they ascended. The submersible shuddered, and the team held their breath, praying it would hold together. The journey felt like an eternity, but finally they breached the surface, the bright light of day flooding the cabin. The crew of the Ocean Explorer quickly moved to retrieve the damaged submersible. Dr. Lee, Dr. Tanaka, and Alex emerged, shaken but alive. Their colleagues, who had witnessed the harrowing ascent from the deck, greeted them with relief and concern. Back on the ship, the team assessed the damage. The submersible was severely battered, but their collected data was intact. The attack had left them with a deep sense of respect for the power of the giant squid and the dangers of the deep sea. They had faced a terrifying ordeal, but their quick thinking and teamwork had saved their lives. The annual Key West Cross-Channel Swim had been a Florida tradition since 1995, drawing athletes from across the globe to tackle the challenging 12.5-mile course. On September 20, 2019, experienced marathon swimmer Rachel Chen faced not just the usual challenges of currents and fatigue, but an encounter that would test the limits of human survival. At 34, Rachel had completed dozens of open water events. But this was special, a chance to set a new course record. Her support team was experienced. Mike O'Brien, 45, piloting her guideboat. Sarah Martinez, 38, her personal trainer and safety coordinator. And Dr. James Foster, 52, the medical officer assigned to monitor swimmers in her section. Perfect conditions today, Mike announced as they gathered at the starting point. The water was calm, visibility excellent, and weather reports showed favorable currents. Among the 50 competitors, Rachel was favored to win, having dominated similar events throughout the season. 2 hours into the race, Rachel was maintaining a strong pace, slightly ahead of her nearest competitor. The support boat kept close watch, with Sarah tracking her progress and Dr. Foster monitoring vital signs. None of them noticed the subtle changes in marine life around them, the way small fish suddenly scattered, the unusual absence of dolphins that typically accompanied swimmers. The first warning came from another support boat half a mile back. "Large shark sighted near point marker 3, crackled over the radio. Race officials began standard safety protocols, but the situation escalated quickly. Through his binoculars, Mike spotted a massive dorsal fin cutting through the water, heading directly toward their position. "Get her out now!" Mike shouted, but Rachel was deep in the zone, focused only on her stroke rhythm. The great white shark, later estimated at 16 feet, appeared below her, its pale form visible in the clear water. Sarah hit the water alarm, 3 sharp blasts that every swimmer knew meant immediate extraction. Rachel looked up just as the shark made its first pass, close enough that she could see its black eye roll white as it turned. Her training kicked in, no panicked splashing, no sudden movements. The support boat was 30 yards away, and distance that suddenly seemed impossible to cover. "Swim steady, keep your eyes on the boat," Sarah called through the megaphone. Mike maneuvered closer while Dr. Foster prepared the rescue ladder, but the shark had other plans, circling tighter, each pass bringing it closer to Rachel. Its behavior was unusually aggressive for the species in these waters. Other support boats converged on their position, creating a ring around Rachel. The shark responded to the boat's presence by becoming more agitated, its movements increasingly erratic. Through her goggles, Rachel could see its massive form passing beneath her, close enough to distinguish old scars on its pale belly. Race officials had already begun evacuating other swimmers, but Rachel was effectively trapped. Any quick movement toward the boats might trigger the shark's predatory response. She maintained her steady freestyle, trying to appear as non-threatening as possible while gradually closing the distance to safety. The shark's first aggressive move came without warning. It charged from below, veering away at the last second, but close enough that its rough skin scraped Rachel's leg. The contact drew blood, a situation that could quickly turn deadly. Mike made a split-second decision. He gunned the boat's engine directly toward Rachel, hoping to drive the shark away. The risk was calculated. The propeller could be as dangerous as the shark if she got too close. But the gambit worked, temporarily scattering the predator. Sarah threw the rescue line as Dr. Foster deployed the electronic shark deterrent, a device that emitted electromagnetic pulses designed to overwhelm sharks' sensitive receptors. Rachel grabbed the line, but the shark was already circling back, seemingly more aggravated by the electrical pulses. The next few moments became a desperate race. As the crew pulled Rachel toward the boat, the shark charged again, this time making solid contact. Its snout struck her side, sending her spinning in the water. Somehow, Rachel maintained her grip on the rescue line. Just as the shark readied another attack, a pod of bottlenose dolphins unexpectedly appeared. Their aggressive clicks and movements temporarily confused the shark, buying precious seconds. Mike and Sarah hauled Rachel aboard as Dr. Foster kept watch for the shark's return. The great white made one final pass at the boat before disappearing into deeper water, leaving behind a shaken but largely unharmed Rachel. She had suffered only minor abrasions from the shark's rough skin, though her competition swimsuit was shredded along one side. The incident led to major changes in open water swimming events. Race officials implemented enhanced shark monitoring systems, including sonar arrays and aerial surveillance. Safety protocols were revised to include faster response times and better coordination between support boats. Rachel Chen's experience became a case study in shark encounter survival. Her calm response and the team's coordinated rescue efforts were praised by marine safety experts. The incident also provided valuable data about great white behavior in the Florida Keys, where such large specimens were rarely seen. Mike O'Brien used the experience to develop new safety guidelines for support boat operators. Sarah Martinez began conducting shark safety workshops for open water swimmers. Dr. Foster's medical report helped establish new standards for treating shark encounter victims. The Key West cross-channel swim continues today, though with enhanced safety measures. Rachel returned to competition the following year, helping design new protocols that balanced athlete safety with the spirit of open water swimming. Her story became not just one of survival, but of how proper preparation and teamwork can make the difference between tragedy and triumph. The great white was spotted several more times that season, before disappearing into the Gulf Stream. Marine biologists suggested its unusual presence in the Keys might be linked to changing ocean temperatures, affecting traditional migration patterns. Today, Rachel Chen coaches open water swimmers, emphasizing both technique and safety. The torn swimsuit from her encounter hangs framed in her training center, a reminder that in the ocean, even the most experienced athletes must respect nature's apex predators. Her experience continues to influence how open water events are managed, ensuring that future generations of swimmers can safely pursue their passion in waters shared with these magnificent but dangerous creatures. On a warm summer day in July 2010, a seasoned scuba diver named David Chen set out to explore the renowned coral reefs in the vibrant waters off the coast of Bali, Indonesia. Bali's reefs are famous for their rich biodiversity, drawing divers from all over the world. The sun shone brightly, casting a golden hue over the clear turquoise waters. David, a 35-year-old marine biologist, had traveled to Bali to study the reef's health and capture footage of its inhabitants. He had started his day early, preparing his gear and reviewing his dive plan. The morning had been uneventful, filled with the usual excitement of exploration. After a light breakfast at his hotel, he went to the dive site, eager to document the underwater world. By mid-morning, David was descending into the warm waters. The reef was alive with activity, schools of colorful fish darting between corals, and the gentle sway of sea anemones. David marveled at the beauty around him, feeling a sense of peace and connection to the marine life he cherished. As he swam deeper, he focused on capturing the vibrant scenes with his underwater camera. The reef was a maze of corals, sponges, and hidden crevices, home to many creatures, including the elusive moray eel. Moray eels were known for their snake-like bodies and sharp teeth. They often hid in the reef's nooks, coming out to hunt at night. Though generally not aggressive, they could become dangerous if threatened. David's dive was progressing smoothly. He had already filmed several species of fish and corals, adding valuable footage to his collection. He moved carefully, aware of the fragile nature of the reef and its inhabitants. However, as he swam closer to a large coral formation, he accidentally disturbed a hidden moray eel. The eel, startled by the sudden intrusion, shot out of its aperture, its mouth open wide to reveal rows of sharp teeth. David froze, his heart racing as the eel glared at him. He knew he had to stay calm, but the sight of the angry eel sent a jolt of fear through him. He tried to back away slowly, hoping to avoid provoking the creature further. The moray eel, feeling threatened, lunged at David with surprising speed. Its powerful jaws clamped down on his arm, causing a sharp, intense pain. David struggled to pull free, but the eel's grip was firm. He used his other hand to push against the eel, trying to create enough space to escape. The water around him clouded with sand and debris as the struggle continued. David's mind raced as he fought to free himself. He knew he had to avoid panicking. Panicking could worsen the situation, making it harder to think clearly. He focused on his training and experience, using his fins to propel himself backward while fending off the eel with his free hand. The eel released its grip momentarily, only to strike again, this time at his leg. The pain was excruciating, but David knew he had to act quickly. He reached for his dive knife, strapped to his thigh, and used it to gently prod the eel, trying to deter it without causing harm. The eel, finally releasing its grip, retreated into the shadows of the reef. David took the opportunity to swim away, his body throbbing with pain. Navigating the maze-like reef, David was careful to avoid more hidden dangers. Each movement sent waves of pain through his body, but he knew he had to reach the surface. His breathing was rapid, his heart pounding as he ascended slowly, mindful of the need to decompress correctly. As he neared the surface, he saw his dive boat anchored nearby. Relief washed over him, but he remained focused on staying calm and controlled. He signaled for help, and the boat crew quickly assisted him. They pulled him aboard, where he collapsed, exhausted and in pain. The crew administered first aid, treating the bite wounds on his arm and leg. David's mind replayed the encounter with the moray eel, the sudden attack and the desperate struggle to escape. He knew he had been lucky to get away with only minor injuries. Back on land, David received further medical treatment. The experience left him shaken, but made him more aware of the hidden dangers lurking within the beautiful underwater landscapes he loved. The January waters off Queensland's Sunshine Coast were usually calm, perfect for the thousands of tourists who flocked to its beaches. But on January 12, 2020, the Alexandria Beach Patrol would face a situation that would test their training, courage, and the very limits of human endurance. Senior lifeguard Tom Mitchell, 35, had spent 15 years patrolling these waters. His team that day included Sarah Connor, 28, an experienced rescue swimmer, brothers Jake and Mark Wilson, 31 and 29, operating their patrol boat, and Emma Chen, 25, a trainee on her second week of active duty. The morning started routinely, a few minor rescues, mostly tourists caught in rip currents. By early afternoon, the beach was packed, and the patrol was keeping close watch on a developing rip near the southern rocks. That's when they spotted the girl. She couldn't have been more than 14, caught in the current and already being pulled out beyond the break. Tom immediately dispatched Sarah for the rescue while Jake and Mark readied the patrol boat. Standard procedure, executed hundreds of times before. The first sign something was wrong came from the aerial patrol. "Large shadow in the water, heading your way," crackled over their radio. Through her rescue goggles, Sarah could see the girl was tiring quickly, but she was also acutely aware of movement in her peripheral vision. The tiger shark appeared without warning, its distinctive striped pattern visible through the clear water. At 14 feet, it was larger than any they'd encountered in recent years. More concerning was its behavior, direct, purposeful, showing none of the cautious investigation typical of the species. "Shark spotted, get the boat in there now." Tom's voice carried across the beach as tourists scrambled out of the water. Sarah had reached the girl, Amy Foster, who was nearly exhausted from fighting the current. But they were still 100 yards from shore, and the shark was circling closer. Jake maneuvered the patrol boat toward them, but the rocky outcrop and strong current made the approach difficult. The shark's circles tightened with each pass, its behavior growing more aggressive. Sarah kept the girl close, trying to remain calm while watching the predator's movements. The situation escalated when the shark suddenly charged. Sarah barely had time to pull Amy upward as the massive form shot beneath them. The shark's rough skin grazed Sarah's leg, leaving deep scratches. Blood in the water would only make their situation more desperate. Mark deployed their shark shield, an electronic device that emitted pulses designed to deter sharks. The tiger shark recoiled initially, but quickly returned. seemingly more agitated by the electrical field. Through their radio, they could hear Tom calling for additional support. The patrol boat made another approach, but a large swell forced them to veer away at the last second. Sarah realized they couldn't wait for the perfect rescue. With the shark preparing another charge, she made a crucial decision. "When I say now, take the deepest breath you can," she instructed Amy. The shark circled back, accelerating toward them. "Now!" They dove beneath the surface just as the shark passed overhead, its powerful tail missing them by inches. The underwater view was terrifying. The shark had turned for another pass, and they could see 2 more tigers arriving, drawn by the commotion. Sarah kicked hard toward the surface, pulling Amy with her. They broke through just as Jake brought the patrol boat alongside. Mark reached for Amy first, hauling her aboard as Sarah kept watch for the sharks. The largest tiger charged again just as Sarah grabbed the rescue ladder. The shark's jaws clamped down on the metal rungs, nearly pulling the ladder off its mounts. Jake gunned the engine, the sudden movement finally dislodging the shark. But their problems weren't over. The damaged ladder had torn free, leaving Sarah hanging onto the boat's side as the sharks continued circling. Mark braced himself and reached over, his hands locking around Sarah's wrists. The largest shark made one final attack, leaping partially out of the water toward Sarah's legs. She pulled them up just in time, feeling the rush of water as massive jaws snapped shut below her. With a final heave, Mark pulled her aboard. The incident lasted less than 10 minutes, but changed beach safety protocols across Australia. Sarah's cuts required 20 stitches, but Amy Foster was unharmed physically, though the psychological impact would take longer to heal. Investigation revealed that illegal fishing activities near the beach had altered shark behavior patterns. The tigers had associated boat motors with food, making them more likely to approach rescue vessels. The incident led to stricter enforcement of fishing regulations and enhanced shark monitoring systems. Tom Mitchell used the experience to develop new rescue procedures for shark encounters. The Wilson brothers modified their patrol boat design, incorporating stronger rescue ladders and improved shark deterrent systems. Emma Chen, despite witnessing the terrifying event during her training, went on to become one of the beach's most respected lifeguards. Sarah Connor returned to duty after 3 weeks, her experience becoming a crucial part of lifeguard training programs. Her quick thinking and courage under pressure earned her the Royal Humane Society's Bronze Medal, though she maintained that saving Amy was simply part of the job. Today, Alexandria Beach still draws thousands of visitors, though with enhanced safety measures in place. The incident served as a powerful reminder that in Australian waters, the line between routine rescue and survival situation can blur in seconds. Amy Foster, now studying marine biology, often visits the beach to share her story with tourists, emphasizing the importance of water safety and respect for marine life. The 3 tiger sharks became regular visitors to the area but were eventually fitted with tracking devices, helping researchers better understand their behavior patterns. For the Alexandria Beach Patrol, the experience reinforced what they already knew, that their job requires not just skill and courage but a deep respect for the ocean's most powerful inhabitants. Their story continues to inspire new generations of lifeguards, reminding them that in the battle between human and nature, sometimes victory simply means everyone coming home alive. Sunset Beach in California was bustling with activity on a warm summer in 2000. The sun shone brightly over the clear blue waters, reflecting off the gentle waves that lapped against the sandy shore. Families and tourists scattered across the beach, setting up colorful umbrellas and laying out towels while children built sandcastles near the water's edge. Mark Eldridge, a seasoned lifeguard, scanned the horizon from his perch. At 32, Mark was known for his sharp eyes and quick reflexes, skills honed over years of training. He took pride in his work, understanding the weight of responsibility he carried daily. Sunset Beach, with its picturesque views and inviting waters, was not just a place for relaxation. It was also home to various marine life, including the majestic but dangerous great white shark. Great white sharks were common in California waters. Known for their robust build and predatory instincts, these apex predators could grow up to 20 feet long. They typically roamed the ocean's deeper parts, but occasionally ventured closer to shore. While shark attacks were rare, the potential danger was always present, making vigilance a crucial part of Mark's daily routine. On this particular day, Mark's colleague Sarah Davidson was patrolling the beach on foot. Sarah, a 28-year-old lifeguard with a calm demeanor, had been working alongside Mark for 3 years. The two shared a mutual respect and an unspoken understanding, having faced numerous emergencies together. They were part of a larger team dedicated to ensuring the safety of everyone who visited Sunset Beach. As the day progressed, Mark and Sarah kept a watchful eye on the swimmers. Among them was a young man named Jason Myers, a 25-year-old fitness enthusiast who frequented the beach for his daily swim. Jason had moved to California a year ago and quickly fell in love with the ocean. He was a strong swimmer, often venturing further out than most. The date was August 14th, 2000, and the beach was at its peak of activity in the early afternoon. The sun was high, casting a golden hue over the sand and sea. Mark adjusted his binoculars, scanning the water as he had done countless times before. Then he noticed something unusual, a dark silhouette moving beneath the surface, farther out in the ocean. Mark's heart rate quickened as he focused on the shape. It was a great white shark, unmistakably giant and heading towards the shore. He knew he had to act fast. Without hesitation, he grabbed the emergency whistle hanging around his neck and blew it, a sharp, piercing sound that cut through the noise of the beachgoers. The alarm sent a wave of panic through the crowd. Parents called for their children, and swimmers began to make their way back to the shore. Mark's eyes remained fixed on the shark, now alarmingly close to where Jason was swimming. He shouted for Jason to return, waving his arms frantically, but the distance and noise made it difficult for Jason to hear. Sarah, noticing the commotion, sprinted towards the water, ready to assist. She reached the surf's edge, urging people to escape the water. Mark knew they had only moments before the situation turned dire. He grabbed a rescue board and plunged into the ocean, paddling with all his strength towards Jason. Mark saw the young man, Jason, finally turning as he became aware of the danger. The shark was only a few feet away, its dorsal fin cutting ominously through the water. Mark's training kicked in and he focused on one goal, getting Jason out of harm's way. Just as Mark reached Jason, the shark struck with terrifying speed. The massive predator lunged forward, its mighty jaws clamping down on Jason's leg. The water turned red with blood and Jason screamed in pain. Mark's heart pounded, but he didn't hesitate. He grabbed Jason by the arm and pulled with all his might, trying to free him from the shark's grip. The shark thrashed violently, determined not to let go. Mark kicked at the water, using the rescue board as a barrier between them and the shark. Jason's face was contorted in agony, but he fought to stay conscious, trusting Mark to save him. Sarah watched from the shore, ready to jump in if needed, while the rest of the beach looked on in horror. Mark freed Jason with a final, desperate yank from the shark's jaws. The shark circled back, its eyes cold and calculating. But Mark pushed Jason onto the rescue board and began paddling towards the shore with all his strength. Blood trailed behind them, a stark reminder of the close call they had just survived. As they neared the shore, Sarah waded into the water to help pull them in. Together, they lifted Jason onto the sand, where they could see the extent of his injuries. His leg was severely torn, the bite marks deep and ragged. Sarah immediately applied pressure to the wound, trying to stem the flow of blood while Mark called for medical assistance. An ambulance arrived within minutes, and the paramedics took over, stabilizing Jason and preparing him for transport to the hospital. Mark and Sarah watched as their friend and fellow beachgoers were taken away, feeling relief and exhaustion. They had done everything they could, but the memory of the attack would linger long after the physical wounds had healed. Sunset Beach returned to a semblance of normalcy in the days that followed. The community rallied around Jason, offering support and encouragement during his recovery. Mark and Sarah continued their duties, ever vigilant and aware of the dangers lurking beneath the waves. The story of the great white shark at Sunset Beach became a cautionary tale shared among locals and visitors alike. It was a testament to the bravery and quick thinking of the lifeguards, who risked their lives to save another. The Bering Sea was unforgiving in February 2024 when Coast Guard rescue swimmer Jake Mitchell, 35, responded to a distress call from the fishing vessel Arctic Dawn. The boat was taking on water in 20-foot seas, with air temperatures hovering around -15. What started as a routine rescue would become one of the most harrowing shark encounters in Coast Guard history. The MH-60 Jayhawk helicopter crew was experienced. Lieutenant Sarah Cooper, 42, pilot in command. Co-pilot Tom Rodriguez, 38, Flight mechanic Mike Chen, 31, and Jake, their rescue swimmer. They'd worked countless missions together in these treacherous waters. "Vessel in sight," Sarah reported as they approached the struggling boat. Through the swirling snow, they could see 5 crew members huddled on the stern. The Arctic Dawn was listing heavily to port, her bow already submerged in the frigid waters. Jake prepared for deployment, knowing every second counted in these temperatures. Hypothermia could kill in minutes. What no one expected was the dark shape their searchlight revealed beneath the waves. A massive salmon shark, rare for this season, but known to hunt these waters. "Be advised, large shark in the water," Mike warned as he prepared to lower Jake. Salmon sharks, cousins to great whites, were usually docile around humans. But this one's behavior was different, circling the sinking vessel with unusual interest. Jake hit the water 50 feet from the Arctic Dawn. The immediate cold was shocking, even through his dry suit. Swimming toward the boat, he could see the shark's shadow passing beneath him. At 16 feet, it was one of the largest salmon sharks ever recorded. "First victim ready for pickup," Jake reported, reaching the vessel. The fishermen, young and terrified, clung to Jake as Mike began hoisting them. That's when the shark made its first pass, close enough that Jake could see its black eye roll white as it turned. The next pickup was more difficult. The Arctic Dawn was sinking faster, forcing the crew toward the water. The shark's circles tightened, its behavior growing more aggressive. Through his radio, Jake could hear Sarah coordinating with nearby vessels for assistance. 2 more crew members were safely recovered, but the rescue's tempo was dangerously slow. Each time Jake entered the water, the shark would make increasingly bold passes. The helicopter's downdraft, usually helpful in keeping predators away, seemed to agitate it further. The situation deteriorated when the boat suddenly lurched. The remaining crew member, Captain Bill Stevens, lost his footing and fell into the sea. Jake immediately dove after him, knowing the shark would react to the splashing. The water around them erupted in chaos. The shark charged, not at them but through the space between them, its powerful body creating a pressure wave that separated Jake from the captain. In the helicopter's searchlight, they could see 2 more sharks had arrived. Multiple sharks in the water. Mike's voice carried urgency as he tried to position the rescue cable. Jake reached the captain, but now they faced a terrible choice: remain in the water for a proper basket extraction or attempt a more dangerous direct lift. The decision was made for them when the largest shark attacked. It struck from below, its snout ramming Jake's fins with enough force to spin him in the water. The captain's panic was immediate and understandable, his thrashing attracting more attention from the predators. Jake made a desperate call: "Direct pickup now." Proper procedure would have them wait for the basket, but with 3 sharks now circling and the captain close to hypothermia, they had no choice. Mike dropped the cable as Jake clipped the captain's harness. The sharks attacked as the cable went tight. The largest one breached partially out of the water, its jaws snapping at the captain's legs as they were lifted. Jake kicked hard at its snout, remembering his training about shark-sensitive areas. The hit connected, buying them precious seconds. Rising from the water didn't end their ordeal. The sharks followed directly below, one launching itself high enough that its teeth scraped Jake's dry suit. Only when they cleared 15 feet did the predators finally break off their pursuit. Inside the helicopter, the captain was treated for hypothermia, while Jake checked his gear for damage. The shark's teeth had torn through his fin and left deep scratches in his metal gear clips, but his dry suit remained intact. The incident made headlines across Alaska. Marine biologists studying the case noted the unusual aggression displayed by salmon sharks, typically known for being more docile than their great white cousins. The presence of multiple large specimens suggested they'd discovered a new winter feeding ground. Investigation of the Arctic Dawn's wreck revealed the sharks had been drawn to the area by fish trapped in the sinking boat's hold. The incident led to new protocols for rescue operations in known shark territories, including enhanced monitoring and the development of better shark deterrent systems. Jake Mitchell continued his work as a rescue swimmer, but helped develop new training procedures for dealing with marine predators during rescues. The experience of the Arctic Dawn's crew led to improved safety measures for fishing vessels operating in shark-inhabited waters. Lieutenant Cooper used the incident to establish new flight patterns for rescues involving marine predators, while Mike Chen helped design improved rescue equipment better suited for shark encounters. Their collective experience became a crucial part of Coast Guard training. Today, the Bering Sea remains one of the world's most challenging rescue environments, where the threats come not just from cold and storms, but from the ancient predators patrolling its depths. The Arctic Dawn incident serves as a reminder that in these waters, rescuers must be prepared for any possibility. The salmon sharks continue to inhabit these northern waters, their presence now better documented and understood. For the Coast Guard crews who fly these missions, the incident reinforced what they already knew: that in rescue operations, nature can present challenges that no amount of training can fully prepare you for. Jake's torn fin and scratched equipment are now displayed at Coast Guard Air Station Kodiak, alongside photographs documenting one of the service's most unusual rescues. The exhibit serves as a reminder that in the world's most extreme environments, survival often depends on the courage and quick thinking of those willing to risk everything to save others. For the survivors of the Arctic dawn, the experience left an indelible mark. Their story continues to educate others about the importance of maritime safety and the unexpected dangers that can arise when human emergency and natural predator territories overlap. On a crisp morning in August 2002, a group of friends set out for a kayaking adventure in the pristine waters of British Columbia. The sun was beginning to rise, casting a golden glow over the calm sea. The air was filled with the scent of salt and pine, and the gentle sound of waves lapping against the rocky shoreline created a serene backdrop for the day's journey. The group consisted of 4 friends: Liam Harris, a 34-year-old outdoor enthusiast who had organized the trip; Emma Lewis, a 30-year-old biologist with a passion for marine life; Ben Cooper, a 28-year-old photographer eager to capture the beauty of the wilderness; and Rachel Adams, a 32-year-old teacher looking to unwind from the stresses of the school year. They launched their kayaks from Telegraph Cove, a secluded spot locals favor for its tranquility and abundant wildlife. British Columbia was famous for its rich marine ecosystem, home to seals, sea lions, and various fish species. But the most awe-inspiring residents were the orcas, or killer whales, that roamed these waters. Known for their intelligence and complex social structures, orcas were feared and admired by those who encountered them. As the group paddled into the open water, they marveled at the beauty around them. The sea was a deep blue, mirroring the clear sky above. Emma pointed out a family of seals basking on a nearby rock, while Ben snapped photos of the picturesque scene. The friends chatted and laughed, their spirits high as they embraced the adventure ahead. The date was August 18th, and the day seemed perfect for exploration. The kayakers paddled further from the shore, enjoying the freedom of the open water. With her keen eye for wildlife, Emma spotted the first sign of orcas in the distance, a series of dark dorsal fins breaking the surface. She alerted the group and they all stopped to watch, excited by the prospect of a close encounter with these magnificent creatures. The pod of orcas approached slowly, their sleek black and white bodies moving gracefully through the water. The kayakers felt awe and excitement, knowing they were witnessing something extraordinary. Orcas, known as killer whales, were the ocean's top predators. Despite their name, they rarely posed a threat to humans. However, their size and power commanded respect. Liam, Emma, Ben, and Rachel remained still, hoping to look closer without disturbing the animals. The orcas seemed curious, swimming closer to the kayaks. One particularly young orca caught Emma's attention. It was smaller than the others, likely a juvenile, and appeared more playful. It swam around the group, occasionally breaching the surface and splashing water with its tail. The kayakers were mesmerized by the display and felt privileged to be in the presence of such incredible creatures. Little did they know, the encounter was about to turn dark. The young orca's playful behavior soon became more aggressive. It began nudging Liam's kayak, initially with gentle pushes that grew stronger each pass. Liam tried to keep his kayak steady, but the orca's forceful nudges made it difficult. The group exchanged worried glances, realizing that the situation was becoming dangerous. Emma, with her knowledge of marine life, knew that orcas could be unpredictable, especially young ones who might not yet have complete control of their strength. The group tried to remain calm, hoping the orca would lose interest and swim away. But the juvenile seemed fixated on Liam's kayak, continuing to push and bump it increasingly. The tension in the air was palpable as the friends braced themselves for what might come next. The young orca's behavior escalated quickly. Its playful nudges turned into aggressive shoves, dangerously rocking Liam's kayak. The orca's powerful movements disturbed the water's calm surface, sending waves rippling outward. Liam gripped the sides of his kayak, trying to maintain his balance. But the orca's forceful pushes made it nearly impossible. Emma, Ben, and Rachel watched in growing fear, unsure how to help. They knew that getting too close could also put them in danger. The juvenile orca, seemingly undeterred, rammed Liam's kayak with a sudden burst of energy, tipping it over. Liam was thrown into the cold water, his kayak flipping upside down. Panic surged through the group as they saw Liam struggling in the water. The orca circled, its presence a looming threat. Liam tried to swim towards his overturned kayak, but the orca blocked his path, nudging him with its nose. Each touch was a reminder of the orca's immense power, and Liam's heart pounded with fear. Emma, thinking quickly, signaled to Ben and Rachel to stay back while she paddled towards Liam. She knew they had to act fast to get him out of the water before the orca became more aggressive. The young orca continued to nudge Liam, causing him to gasp for air each time he was pushed underwater. Emma reached Liam and grabbed his arm, pulling him towards her kayak. Sensing the movement, the orca swam closer, its dorsal fin cutting through the water like a knife. Emma's heart raced as she struggled to keep both of them afloat. Ben and Rachel watched helplessly, their kayaks bobbing in the choppy water. Emma desperately tried to drag Liam to her kayak. She held onto him tightly, hoping the orca would back off. But the juvenile orca seemed more determined than ever. It swam around them, creating a whirlpool effect that made it hard for Emma to paddle. The water was now a chaotic mix of waves and foam, each movement of the orca sending ripples of fear through the group. Liam clung to the side of Emma's kayak, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The cold water sapped his strength, and he struggled to stay conscious. Emma knew they couldn't wait any longer. She shouted at Ben and Rachel to paddle towards the shore and get help. They nodded and started swimming with all their might, quick and frantic strokes. Emma kept a firm grip on Liam, her eyes never leaving the orca. The young whale circled them one last time before it seemed to lose interest, perhaps sensing the arrival of more humans. It swam off, leaving the water calm once more. Emma felt relief, but she knew they weren't safe yet. Ben and Rachel reached the shore and alerted a nearby boat. A rescue team arrived within minutes, pulling Liam and Emma to safety. Liam was rushed to the hospital, where he was treated for hypothermia and minor injuries. The group's ordeal had lasted only a few hours, but it felt like an eternity. The kayakers' harrowing experience at Telegraph Cove became a story of survival and the unpredictable nature of wildlife. The young orca's behavior was a stark reminder of the power and unpredictability of the ocean's inhabitants. Liam, Emma, Ben, and Rachel would carry the memory of that day with them forever, their bond strengthened by the shared experience of facing danger together. The waters off South Australia's Neptune Islands were known for their great white shark population, but August 15, 2018, would test the limits of both human courage and maritime safety protocols. The Southern Star, a 42-foot shark observation vessel, carried the usual mix of researchers and tourists, including the Hansen family from Adelaide. Emily Hansen, 12, had begged her parents to see the great whites up close. A passionate marine life enthusiast, she'd read everything she could about these apex predators. Her father, Michael, 41, was more cautious, but her mother, Sarah, 38, a marine biologist, had convinced him it would be educational. Captain James Cooper, 52, had run these tours for 15 years without serious incident. His crew was experienced. First Mate Linda Chen, 35, who handled the cage diving operations, Safety Officer Mark Williams, 45, and Marine Naturalist Dr. Tom Brady, 39, who provided educational commentary. "Conditions are perfect today," Linda announced during the morning briefing. The sea was calm, visibility excellent. They'd already spotted 2 great whites, moderate-sized females around 12 feet long. The observation cage was deployed, and the first group of divers was in the water. Emily watched from the deck, safely behind the raised railings, as her mother participated in the first dive. The sharks moved gracefully through the clear water, their power evident in every movement. What no one noticed was the much larger shark approaching from deeper water. The first warning came from Tom, who spotted the massive dorsal fin cutting through the water. This new arrival was different. A mature female great white, later estimated at 17 feet, she showed none of the cautious behavior typical of her species. "Everyone inside the cabin," James ordered, recognizing the shark's unusual demeanor. But before Emily could move from her position near the stern, the massive predator breached the surface in a spectacular display of power, its momentum carrying it partially onto the dive platform. Time seemed to freeze. The shark's massive body thrashed on the platform, its tail sweeping across the deck. Emily was knocked sideways, but Linda's quick reaction saved her. She grabbed the girl's life vest and pulled her through the cabin door seconds before the shark's powerful jaws snapped shut where she had been standing. Inside the observation cage, Sarah watched in horror as the scene unfolded above. Mark immediately began the emergency retrieval of the cage while James maneuvered the boat to shake the shark back into the water. The massive predator slid back into the sea but continued circling aggressively. The shark's initial breach had damaged their starboard engine and crushed part of the dive platform. Water began seeping in through damaged seals as James fought to maintain control of the vessel. Through their underwater communication system, they could hear Sarah trying to remain calm in the cage. "Mayday, mayday!" Linda's voice was steady as she radioed for help. "This is Southern Star, 1 mile east of Neptune Islands. We have a large shark attacking the vessel. Request immediate assistance." The shark made another attempt to breach, this time striking the hull near the waterline. The impact sent shockwaves through the boat, knocking equipment off shelves and causing more water to pour in through the damaged areas. Inside the cabin, Tom worked to keep the passengers calm while treating Emily for minor cuts and bruises from her fall. The girl remained remarkably composed, her scientific curiosity seemingly overriding her fear as she watched the massive shark through the cabin windows. James knew they had minutes to retrieve the diving cage before the shark's continued attacks put everyone in even greater danger. He coordinated with Linda to create a distraction using their emergency flares, hoping to give Mark enough time to raise the cage. The plan worked, but barely. As the cage broke the surface, the shark made another charge. Sarah and her diving companions were pulled aboard just seconds before the massive predator crashed into the cage, sending it spinning off the davit. With everyone safely inside, James pointed the Southern Star toward Port Lincoln, pushing their remaining engine to its limits. The shark followed for several minutes, occasionally bumping the hull, before finally breaking off its pursuit. The incident made headlines across Australia and led to significant changes in shark tourism operations. Investigation revealed that illegal fishing activities nearby had altered the shark's normal behavior patterns, making them more aggressive than usual. Emily Hansen, despite her close call, became even more fascinated by great whites. Her detailed account of the shark's behavior, remarkably precise for a 12-year-old, proved valuable to researchers studying great white breach behavior. Sarah used the experience to develop enhanced safety protocols for shark tourism operations. Her unique perspective as both a marine biologist and a parent helped bridge the gap between scientific research and public safety concerns. The Southern Star underwent extensive repairs and modifications, including reinforced hull plating and improved safety barriers. James Cooper continued operating tours, but with additional precautions and stricter weather limitations. Linda Chen's quick thinking in saving Emily was recognized by the Australian Maritime Safety Authority. Her actions became a model for emergency response training in the shark tourism industry. Today, the Neptune Islands still draw tourists and researchers eager to observe great whites in their natural habitat. The incident serves as a powerful reminder that while these magnificent predators can be observed safely, they command respect and deserve space in their ocean domain. Emily, now studying marine biology herself, often tells her story to emphasize the importance of both admiring and respecting these apex predators. The experience, rather than instilling fear, deepened her appreciation for marine life and the need to protect it. The great white that breached that day was spotted several more times that season, recognizable by its unusual size and distinctive scarring. Local operators named her Neptune, and her presence became a reminder of nature's raw power and the importance of maintaining safe distances when observing marine life. The incident led to better understanding of great white breach behavior and the conditions that might trigger such responses. New guidelines were established for cage diving operations, including minimum distances from known feeding areas and enhanced monitoring of shark behavior patterns. For the Hansen family, the experience created an unbreakable bond with the ocean and its inhabitants. They continue to advocate for shark conservation while promoting responsible wildlife tourism, proving that even close encounters can lead to positive outcomes when handled with respect and understanding. On a sunny morning in June 2004, the Johnson family set out for a snorkeling adventure off the coast of Florida. The day was bright, with a gentle breeze and a clear sky that promised perfect conditions for exploring the shallow waters. The turquoise sea sparkled under the sun, inviting and serene. The family consisted of Peter Johnson, a 38-year-old marine biologist, his wife Laura, a 36-year-old preschool teacher, and their 2 children, 10-year-old Tommy and 8-year-old Lily. The Johnsons loved the ocean and often spent their vacations discovering its wonders. This trip was no different, and they were excited to explore the vibrant coral reefs and colorful fish that thrived in the warm waters. They set off from a small town called Biscayne Bay on the Florida coast. Biscayne Bay was known for its beautiful reefs and rich marine life. The waters here were home to various species, including the formidable bull shark. Bull sharks were notorious for their aggressive behavior and tendency to venture into shallow waters, making them one of the most dangerous sharks to humans. Despite this, sightings were rare, and the Johnsons felt confident in their safety measures. The date was June 10th, and the day had started wonderfully. The family enjoyed a hearty breakfast at a beachside cafe before boarding a small boat to the snorkeling site. Peter gave his children a brief lesson on marine life and respecting the ocean. Tommy and Lily listened eagerly, their eyes wide with excitement. Upon reaching the snorkeling spot, Peter and Laura helped their children into their gear. The water was warm and clear, offering perfect visibility. They slipped into the sea, marveling at the underwater world that unfolded before them. Schools of brightly colored fish darted around, and the coral formations were breathtakingly beautiful. The family swam together, pointing out various marine creatures and enjoying the peacefulness of the ocean. Peter was constantly vigilant, keeping a close eye on his family while also taking in the beauty of their surroundings. He knew the importance of staying aware in the water, especially in areas where predators like bull sharks could appear. Bull sharks were known for their stocky build and aggressive nature. They were capable of swimming in both salt and fresh water. They were apex predators with powerful jaws and preferred hunting in shallow waters. The Johnsons swam further from the boat, drawn by the allure of the deeper reef. Peter felt a sense of pride watching his children explore, their laughter and excitement filling the air. Laura floated nearby, her face lit up with joy as she observed the marine life. It was a perfect day, and they made memories that would last a lifetime. As they ventured further, Peter noticed a sudden change in the water's mood. The fish swimming so freely seemed to scatter, and an eerie calm settled over the area. His instincts kicked in and he scanned the surroundings more intently. Then he saw a dark, menacing shape moving silently through the water. A bull shark, unmistakably giant and powerful, was heading towards them. Peter's heart raced as he assessed the situation. He knew they needed to stay calm and return to the boat without panicking. He gestured to Laura, who immediately understood the gravity of the situation. They gathered Tommy and Lily, keeping their movements slow and controlled. The shark drew closer, its eyes fixed on the group. Peter felt a surge of fear and determination. He had to protect his family and get them to safety. Using their snorkeling gear as a makeshift defense, they began to swim back towards the boat, every stroke filled with urgency and caution. The bull shark's movements became more aggressive as it closed in on the family. Peter positioned himself between the shark and his children, using his fins to create a barrier. The shark circled them, its eyes cold and calculating. Each pass felt like an eternity, and Peter could sense the shark's growing interest in them. Suddenly, the shark lunged forward, bumping into Peter with its powerful snout. The force of the impact sent him reeling, but he managed to stay afloat. He knew that any sudden movements could trigger a more violent attack. He kept his eyes on the shark, trying to anticipate its next move. Laura held on to Tommy and Lily, urging them to stay close and calm. The children's fear was palpable, but they trusted their parents to guide them to safety. The shark circled back, coming closer to Laura and the kids. Peter's heart pounded as the predator's dorsal fin cut through the water towards them. In a desperate attempt to divert the shark's attention, Peter splashed water towards it, trying to create a distraction. The shark turned its focus back to him, giving Laura and the kids a brief window to swim towards the boat. They moved as quickly as possible, their strokes strong and determined despite the fear gripping them. The bull shark, undeterred, made another pass at Peter. This time it opened its jaws wide, displaying rows of sharp teeth. Peter used his snorkel gear to fend off the shark, pushing it away with all his strength. The shark thrashed, creating bubbles and chaos in the water. Peter felt a sharp pain as the shark's teeth grazed his leg, but he knew he couldn't give up. With every ounce of strength, Peter kicked at the shark, pushing it back momentarily. He took the chance to swim towards his family, who were now just a few meters from the boat. Sensing the retreat, the shark lunged again, aiming for Peter's injured leg. The pain was excruciating, but Peter fought through it, determined to reach his family. Seeing her husband in distress, Laura urged Tommy and Lily to climb onto the boat. She then turned back to help Peter, grabbing a spare snorkel mask to use as a weapon. The shark was relentless, but the combined efforts of Peter and Laura created enough of a deterrent to keep it at bay. Finally, they reached the boat. Peter, bleeding and exhausted, hoisted himself up with Laura's help. The shark made one last attempt to strike, but Laura used the snorkel mask to fend it off, hitting it on the snout. The shark retreated, disappearing into the depths of the ocean. Once on the boat, they quickly bandaged Peter's leg and radioed for help. The ordeal had left them shaken, but they were alive. The boat sped back to Biscayne Bay, where an ambulance awaited to take Peter to the hospital. His injuries were severe but not life-threatening, thanks to the swift actions of his family. The Gulf Coast waters off Tampa had always been kind to Captain Mike Rodriguez and his charter boat Night Runner. But on October 15, 2022, a late-season fishing trip would turn into a nightmare that would haunt its survivors for years to come. Mike, 47, had been running night fishing charters for 2 decades. His crew was solid: first mate Jack Chen, 35, who could rig tackle in his sleep; Sarah Martinez, 29, their second mate and safety officer; and Pete Thompson, 42, handling the boat's electronics and communications. That night's charter group included the Wilson family, Tom, 45, and his teenage sons Luke and Mark, 16 and 14, retired couple David and Mary Cooper, both in their 60s, and Steve Bennett, 38, an experienced angler who'd fished with Mike before. "Storm system's developing offshore," Pete warned during the afternoon briefing, "but it should pass north of us." It was a calculation Mike had made hundreds of times, balancing customer satisfaction against safety. The fish were running, and the report suggested excellent conditions for grouper and snapper. 3 hours into the trip, they were 20 miles offshore when the weather began to turn. The promised storm had shifted course, bringing heavy swells and dropping visibility. Most of their clients were inside the cabin, fighting seasickness, but Luke Wilson remained on deck with Jack, determined to land a big fish. The first sign of trouble came when their lines started snapping. "Something's taking our rigs," Jack reported, examining the clean breaks in the heavy monofilament. Through the rain-swept darkness, their deck lights illuminated glimpses of something massive moving beneath the surface. Mike was about to call everyone inside when the shark surfaced. In the beam of their spotlights, its gray-white form stretched nearly 20 feet, a great white far larger than any he'd seen in these waters. More concerning was its behavior, circling the boat with obvious intent rather than passing through. "Get everyone in the cabin," Mike ordered, but before Luke could move from the stern, the shark struck the boat's hull. The impact sent fishing gear sliding across the deck and knocked the teenager off balance. Jack grabbed him just as another hit rocked the vessel. Through the cabin windows, the other passengers watched in horror as the shark circled back. Each pass brought it closer to the surface, its dorsal fin now clearly visible above the growing swells. The storm had trapped them in place. Running in these conditions could be as dangerous as the predator stalking them. The situation deteriorated when the shark's next attack damaged their rudder housing. Hydraulic fluid leaked into the water, and the scent seemed to drive the shark into a frenzy. Its attacks became more frequent, each impact threatening to breach their hull. "Mayday, mayday!" Pete's voice was steady as he radioed their position. "This is Night Runner, 20 miles west of Tampa. We have an aggressive shark attacking the vessel and are taking on water." The storm was interfering with their communications, making it unclear if anyone had heard their call. Sarah worked to deploy their emergency shark deterrents, electronic devices designed to repel sharks through electromagnetic pulses, but the storm had flooded one unit, and the other seemed to only agitate the predator further. Water was now coming in faster than their pumps could handle. The shark had torn open a seam in their hull, and the boat was developing a noticeable list to port. Mike knew they might have to abandon ship, but in these waters, with this shark, their life raft might be even more dangerous than staying aboard. Steve Bennett, drawing on years of fishing experience, suggested a desperate plan. They had flares in their emergency kit, not just for signaling, but the kind that burned hot and bright underwater. "Sharks hate bright lights," he reasoned. "Might buy us enough time for help to arrive." The next attack nearly capsized them. The shark broached the surface beside the boat, its massive body momentarily visible in the storm's lightning. The Wilson boys huddled with their father while the Coopers held each other, all watching as water continued rising in the cabin. Jack and Sarah coordinated their counterattack. When the shark made its next pass, they deployed the flares on either side of the boat, creating brilliant underwater explosions of light and heat. The strategy worked. The shark recoiled from the sudden illumination, disappearing into the depths. But they had bought only minutes. The boat was going down, and the storm showed no signs of abating. That's when they heard it. The distinctive thrum of Coast Guard helicopter rotors cutting through the rain. Their mayday had been heard. The rescue operation was nothing short of miraculous. Despite the storm, the Coast Guard deployed swimmers who helped transfer everyone to rescue baskets. The shark reappeared during the evacuation, making one final attack on the Night Runner's sinking hull before disappearing into the turbulent waters. The incident made headlines across Florida. Marine biologists studying the case suggested the shark's unusual aggressive behavior might have been triggered by the combination of storm conditions, the boat's electrical systems, and the hydraulic fluid in the water. Investigation of the wreck recovered a week later revealed teeth marks that helped confirm the shark's extraordinary size. The damage pattern suggested methodical attacks rather than random strikes, behavior rarely documented in great whites. Mike Rodriguez eventually returned to charter fishing, though never again at night. His experience led to new safety regulations for the Gulf Coast charter industry, including mandatory shark deterrent systems and enhanced weather monitoring protocols. Jack Chen and Sarah Martinez used their experience to develop better emergency procedures for maritime operators. The Wilson boys, despite their terrifying experience, became advocates for shark conservation, understanding that such encounters were rare and usually resulted from human activities disrupting natural behavior. Today, the waters off Tampa still draw fishermen and sharks alike, but charter operators maintain better communication about shark sightings and weather conditions. The Night Runner incident serves as a reminder that on the ocean, respect for both weather and wildlife can mean the difference between life and death. The great white was spotted several more times that season before disappearing into deeper waters. Local fishermen named it Storm Rider, and its presence became part of Gulf Coast maritime lore, a testament to the power and mystery still found in Earth's oceans. For those who survived that stormy night, the experience left an indelible mark. Their story continues to educate others about the importance of maritime safety and the need to respect the ocean's most powerful predators, even in waters where they're rarely seen. In the clear, warm waters of the Caribbean near the island of Exuma Cays in the Bahamas, a seasoned free diver named Thomas Reed set out for an underwater filming session on July 15, 2008. The day was perfect for diving, with the sun shining brightly, making the ocean surface sparkle like diamonds. Thomas, a 32-year-old marine videographer, had spent years exploring and documenting the underwater world, but today promised a unique adventure. Thomas had woken up early, eager to capture footage of the vibrant coral reefs and diverse marine life that thrived in the area. He was particularly interested in the predatory species that patrolled these waters, including the barracuda, known for their speed and sharp teeth. These sleek silver fish could grow up to 6 feet long and were often found lurking around reefs, ready to ambush smaller fish with lightning-fast strikes. After a hearty breakfast, Thomas boarded his small boat, the Sea Spirit, and headed towards Crystal Caves, a renowned dive spot famous for its underwater caverns and rich marine biodiversity. By mid-morning, he had anchored his boat and prepared his gear. He donned his wetsuit, checked his camera, and ensured his equipment was in top condition. The reflective parts of his gear, designed to catch the light and enhance his footage, were particularly prominent today. As he slipped into the water, Thomas was immediately struck by the clarity and warmth of the sea. He descended slowly, adjusting his camera to capture the stunning underwater landscape. Schools of colorful fish darted around him, and the coral formations teemed with life. It was a diver's paradise, and Thomas was in his element. He swam deeper, aiming to explore a section of the reef known for its barracuda sightings. These predators fascinated Thomas, not just because of their fearsome reputation, but also because of their role in maintaining the health of the reef ecosystem. They were apex predators, controlling the smaller fish population and helping keep the reef balanced. Thomas's day had been going smoothly. He had already captured some incredible footage of the reef and its inhabitants. As he approached the deeper part of the reef, he noticed a slight change in the water's hue, indicating he was nearing a school of barracudas. His heart raced excitedly at the prospect of filming these majestic predators up close. Barracudas were known for their curiosity, especially toward shiny objects. Their sleek silver bodies made them masters of camouflage in the open water, and they could accelerate quickly to snatch prey. Thomas knew the risks but felt confident in his experience and knowledge of barracuda behavior. He moved slowly and steadily, making sure not to make any sudden movements that might startle the fish. As he filmed, he marveled at the barracuda's grace and agility. They were like underwater torpedoes, moving with a speed and precision that was both beautiful and intimidating. Thomas kept his distance, knowing that while barracudas were not typically aggressive towards humans, they could become dangerous if provoked. While engrossed in his filming, Thomas noticed a sudden shift in the barracuda's behavior. The school, swimming calmly, began to close in around him. Their curiosity had turned to something more intense, and Thomas realized with a jolt that the reflective parts of his gear were attracting them more than he had anticipated. The barracudas started circling him, their sharp teeth glinting in the light. Thomas's pulse quickened. He knew he had to act fast to avoid a potential attack. Keeping calm was crucial, as panic could provoke the barracudas further. He slowly reached for the reflective pieces of his gear, removing them one by one. Each motion was deliberate, minimizing sudden movements that might trigger the predators. Despite his careful actions, the barracudas grew bolder. One darted closer, its teeth flashing dangerously close to Thomas's leg. He felt a rush of adrenaline, knowing he was in a precarious situation. He continued to strip away the shiny objects, each second feeling like an eternity. With the last reflective gear removed, Thomas hoped the barracudas would lose interest, but the situation remained tense. The fish, now agitated, kept their tight formation around him. Thomas knew he had to start his ascent to the surface slowly. Rapid movements could escalate their aggression. He began his ascent, moving as smoothly as possible. The barracudas followed, their eyes fixed on him. Thomas's mind raced with strategies to deter them, recalling everything he knew about their behavior. He appeared as non-threatening as possible, keeping his arms close to his body and avoiding eye contact with the fish. As he ascended, he used his camera to create a barrier between him and the barracudas. Though no longer extended recording, the device served as a physical buffer. The predators continued to circle, but their strikes were now less frequent. Thomas's slow, controlled movements were paying off, but he knew he wasn't safe yet. The ascent seemed to take forever, but finally the surface was in sight. The barracudas began to peel away, losing interest as Thomas neared the boat. He felt a surge of relief but remained cautious. Reaching the ship, he pulled himself up quickly, his body shaking with the effort and the remnants of fear. Once aboard, Thomas took a moment to catch his breath and process what had happened. The ordeal had been a stark reminder of the ocean's unpredictable nature. He was safe, but the encounter left him deeply aware of the fine line between wonder and danger in the underwater world. The footage he captured that day would tell a story of the beauty of the barracudas and serve as a testament to the delicate balance of respect and caution required when exploring their realm. The crystal-clear waters of Mexico's Yucatan cenotes had drawn divers for decades, but on March 15, 2023, an expedition to photograph the underwater cave systems would encounter something that shouldn't have been there at all. A bull shark that had somehow found its way into the freshwater system. The team was highly qualified. Maya Rodriguez, 34, an acclaimed underwater photographer, David Chen, 41, her longtime diving partner and cave diving expert, Lisa Torres, 38, their safety coordinator, and local guide Carlos Ruiz, 45, who'd spent 20 years mapping these ancient cave systems. Visibility's exceptional today, Carlos noted during their morning briefing at Cenote Calavera. The underwater cave system was less visited than the famous tourist sites, making it perfect for Maya's photo series on hidden Mexican waters. What they didn't know was that recent floods had created new connections to the ocean 15 miles away. The first 2 hours went perfectly. At 70 feet down, Maya captured stunning images of limestone formations and crystal-clear pools. David managed their guidelines while Lisa monitored their air supplies and Carlos tracked their position relative to the surface entrance. The first sign of trouble came when they entered a larger chamber. The beam of David's light caught movement in a side passage, something large enough to seem impossible in these waters. Through her camera's viewfinder, Maya spotted a distinctive gray form disappearing into the gloom. "That can't be what I think it was," Lisa's voice crackled through their underwater communication system. But Carlos had seen it too. Having grown up on the coast, he recognized the unmistakable shape of a bull shark, known for their unique ability to survive in fresh water. The situation became critical when they realized their primary exit route would take them through the chamber where the shark had disappeared. Their backup exit was further away, requiring precious air they might not have. Bull sharks were among the most aggressive species, and in these confined spaces, an encounter could be fatal. Maya kept her camera ready, both for documentation and because its powerful strobe might deter an attack. The shark reappeared at the edge of their light beams, easily 10 feet long. Its behavior was unusual. Instead of the normal curiosity bulls typically displayed, this one showed signs of agitation. "Stay close to the walls," Carlos instructed. In the open ocean, they'd have room to maneuver. But here, in passages barely wider than a car, their options were limited. The limestone walls that made these photos so beautiful now felt like a trap. The shark's first pass came without warning. It charged through their group, forcing them to press against the cave walls. Maya's strobe fired, temporarily illuminating the entire chamber and revealing something worrying. The shark had battle scars suggesting recent fights, possibly explaining its aggressive behavior. David noticed it first. Their presence was stirring up silt from the cave floor. Each movement clouded the water slightly, reducing their visibility. In cave diving, loss of visibility could be as deadly as any predator. They needed to move, but the shark blocked their path. Lisa suggested a desperate plan. They carried emergency surface markers, bright yellow tubes that inflated with air. In the confined space, the sudden deployment might startle the shark enough to clear a path. The risk was that it might also make the predator more aggressive. The decision was made for them when the shark charged again, this time snapping at David's fins. The powerful jaws shredded the rubber, though thankfully missed flesh. Maya fired her strobe repeatedly, creating a disorienting strobe effect that momentarily confused the shark. Carlos seized the moment, deploying 2 surface markers simultaneously. The bright yellow tubes shot toward the cave ceiling, creating a barrier between them and the predator. The shark recoiled from the sudden movement and visual disturbance. "Move now!" Lisa commanded. They began their careful exit, maintaining contact with the guideline while watching for the shark's return. Their computers showed 40 minutes of air remaining, enough under normal circumstances, but these were far from normal. The shark's next attack came from behind. It charged through the silt cloud they'd created, ramming into Maya's tank with enough force to slam her against the cave wall. The impact cracked her camera housing but didn't damage her vital equipment. 20 minutes from the exit, disaster struck. The silt they'd stirred up reduced visibility to near zero in parts of the passage. They were forced to navigate by touch, following their guideline while knowing the shark could appear from any direction. Lisa's air supply was running dangerously low. Without hesitation, David offered her his backup regulator. Standard procedure, but incredibly risky, with an aggressive shark nearby. They would now need to exit while buddy breathing, making them more vulnerable. The shark made its final attack just 50 feet from the cenote entrance. Perhaps driven by the light filtering down from above, it charged one last time. Carlos intercepted its path with his aluminum tank, the metallic clang of shark teeth on metal echoing through the cave. Breaking the surface felt like emerging from a nightmare. The support team helped them out of the water as the shark made one final pass beneath them before disappearing back into the cave system where it didn't belong. The incident made headlines across Mexico and the diving world. Maya's photographs, including several frames of the shark, provided the first documentation of bull sharks penetrating so far into the Yucatan's cave systems. Marine biologists studying the case discovered that recent coastal development had altered traditional shark movements, forcing them to seek new territories. Carlos Ruiz worked with local authorities to map the newly formed channels connecting the cenotes to the ocean, helping establish early warning systems for shark movements. The incident led to new safety protocols for cave diving in the region, including better monitoring of water conditions and marine life. David Chen developed new emergency procedures specifically for encountering large predators in overhead environments. Lisa Torres began conducting specialized training courses for cave diving operators, incorporating lessons learned from their experience. Maya Rodriguez's photographs became more than just art. They were valuable scientific documentation of changing marine behavior patterns. Her images showed how human activity was forcing sharks to adapt, sometimes with dangerous consequences. Today, the Yucatan cenotes remain a popular diving destination, though with enhanced safety measures and better understanding of their connection to the ocean. The bull shark was eventually tracked back to the sea, but its brief presence had revealed how much remained unknown about these ancient cave systems. For those who survived that day in Cenote Calavera, the experience reinforced the importance of preparation and teamwork in extreme situations. Their story continues to educate divers about the unexpected challenges that can arise when human expertise meets wild nature in confined spaces. The incident serves as a reminder that in an era of changing climates and habitats, encounters between humans and marine predators may occur in increasingly unexpected places. It's a lesson about respect, preparation, and the understanding that sometimes the most dangerous situations arise not from nature's normal patterns, but from the ways human activity forces wildlife to adapt.